It's the book reviews here yet again. As always, I am Brian Cranston. With me is Aaron Paul, and this is the podcast where we discuss all things books. Here to do yet another one. Today we are discussing a sequel. You a pretty big sequel guy? Sequel movies, sequel books?
I think I like everything about a sequel, honestly.
Nothing like a good sequel to follow up a good prequel, I guess.
I guess.
doesn't work,
How do you feel about
actually.
prequels? I feel like those are more.
I mean, the prequels, the Star Wars prequels are my era, so prequels in general have a good connotation for me. But yeah, I like prequels. Sometimes prequels are better than sequels because, they try to do too much after a really good, first. I'm thinking broadly here. I'm thinking movies, shows, books, anything.
Other than Star Wars, what's a prequel that's better than the OG?
I mean, that would be one. That would be the main one I'm referring to when I say that, but
I feel like that. I mean, I feel like that's not what I'm thinking of when I think of a prequel.
I mean, House of Dragon,
I know that technically
honestly,
is a prequel, but I'm thinking of okay, like a series of movies, and then there's that one that's oh, this is the one prequel. It's not like a whole series prequel. You know what I mean? Like The Hobbit. It's a prequel.
Yeah.
I know they made it into 3 movies, but The Hobbit's not better than the Lord of the Rings series. You know what I mean? But I guess that's probably one of the stronger prequels. Anyway, I don't even know why we're talking about this, but anyway.
Well, we're here to discuss a sequel. So today we are on another Powder Mage, Brian McClellan's Powder Mage series. This is book number 2, following up Promise of Blood, which we both loved. This is the Crimson Campaign. And just to let you know, this book came out in 2014. It's got 37,000 ratings with a 4.36 out of 5 stars average rating. So that's the Goodreads information. Yeah, let's get into it. I gave this a 5-star, yet another 5-star. I mean, we don't be reading nothing but good books for the most part. We've got one failure so far this year, but we've been hitting pretty heavy on average. Did you give it a 5 as well?
I did. I haven't written my review yet. I literally just finished this at work before I drove home, so be on the lookout for that super in-depth. I haven't really thought of my actual rating yet, my to a decimal point. I like this, obviously. Do you like this more than the first one?
I do, yeah.
Me too.
I gave the first one a 5, but I would rate this one higher on a decimal or 10-point system.
Is this over a 9.2 to you think? Because I think it might be for me.
Yeah, very well may be. It might be right around there.
I think the first one is obviously not. I don't think it's a 9. I think the first one's an 8.7 for me, maybe. But I think this one's definitely over a 9.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Right under 9 for the first one, right over it for this one, yeah. So, yeah, I would say we're right around the same place. It just, it delivers on things that were set up in the first one. So if that's done well, it's, for me at least, it's hard for a sequel not to end up being better. Although I will say, I've compared this one before to Era 1 of Mistborn, just a trilogy that I'm really liking and that's on par, even though they're very different. It's just on par as far as the writing and how much I'm enjoying it. I did like the first Mistborn more than the second one. I like the third one the most, but I did like the first one more than the second one. But I will say on this one it's a little different. I do think overall I'm gonna say the second one's better than the first, and hopefully the third's best of all when we get to it. But
I hope so too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking it's gonna be great. So, yeah, if you haven't read the first the first book in the Powder Mage series, Promise of Blood, you should definitely read that. There's not much we can say other than this is really good and that you should read the first one, obviously.
Watch our video on it. We reviewed it.
Yeah, check our video out. We do have a non-spoiler section on our video on Promise of Blood, so check it out if you're interested, but we will still do a little non-spoiler review here. So, I mean, similar to the first one, the writing here is peak for me. It's some of the best fantasy writing. It's some of my favorite. Would you agree? You've read a lot more fantasy, so...
Yeah, there was only 1 or 2 moments. I still think it was really good. There was 1 or 2 moments where maybe a character didn't say what I wanted them to say, and it was slightly cringe, but for the most part, no. I mean, I thought it was great. I thought the storylines, the POVs were more engaged. And this is kind of like even a testament to the last book, because the last book almost like all the storylines were pretty engaging. I kind of lost. I don't know. Taniel like just wasn't that interesting to me towards the very end, or like towards the second half of the book, and then he gets really interesting at the very, very end, like the very last time you see him. Whereas this book, I mean, there wasn't like a POV that I was like, oh man, this is Adamat's POV or whatever. I would say Adamat's kind of slows down at the very, very end. But even his kind of, it's just all of the POVs are just more interesting to me, which is
they are.
Which is still good.
Yeah, and it's the POVs in this one, and they're this way in the first book too, but it's even more so in this one. They're so different, but they're intertwined so well, and just enough to make it still a cohesive, one story that is connected in a lot of ways. But each POV is just very, very unique, and it's really good. Who would you say was I know Adamat was your favorite in the first one. I would say Tomas was my favorite in the first one. Who was your favorite POV this time around?
Oh, Taniel for sure, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's Taniel in this one. It's so good. So, yeah, we'll keep it non-spoiler for a minute, but the writing is great, for sure. Character development's great. It's even better than the first one. Obviously, again, you're continuing off a whole other book that came before, so it's a little easier to make it. I shouldn't say easy. I couldn't do it. But either way, character development's great. I would agree that Taniel was probably the best POV, but I mean, even I don't know which one this would be, but even whichever one would be the quote unquote worst or just my least favorite POV, I can't decide which one it is, but there's all so good. Like you said, there's not a character in this book that you don't want more from.
Well, even
and that's really enjoyable.
The girl,
Neela.
Yeah, even her POV is more interesting. Like,
Yeah,
more
hers were probably
on.
the low point of the first book.
Yeah, it just wasn't that often. Whereas it's still not very often in this one, but it's more often than the first for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, overall, just as far as non-spoilers, like the stakes get risen, the world building gets fleshed out a bit. The world building here is pretty cool. I wouldn't say there's a ton built as far like new information from the world building. There is a little bit, but there's a lot that's still left to be kind of buttoned up in the third book, I assume. I shouldn't say a lot, but just some things that haven't been fleshed out. But it obviously didn't really affect my enjoyment of this book. It didn't need more. I felt like the little bit we got was fine, which world building is usually my main thing. Would you agree that there really wasn't a ton of, that I can remember, there's not a ton of world building that happens until really maybe the end?
It depends on how you like see world building. You get more perspective of the other countries that are involved, like in this world, than you do in the first book.
Yeah, that's true.
But I know, like what you're saying, like the rules of the world, we're not necessarily learning much.
Sure, yeah,
more.
That's more what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, because there's still, I mean, I don't know. I would have liked some answers. Now that like you brought that up, it is like interesting for me to think about. There's some things that happen in this that happen kind of early on, and then you don't really get any answers about it. So, which maybe is just Brian just leading us on for book 3, but
that's what it felt like to me. Like this just felt very plot, like story driven. There were things that needed to occur so that other things can later, and usually that sounds like a mark, like a strike against the book, but it wasn't at all. It was so entertaining. And again, the character development and plot was just so good.
I liked the political intrigue. There was just more, it felt more in depth this time, especially with the military elements in there. This is kind of touched on points that I think I didn't realize that I missed in the first book, because I liked the first book a lot. So it's not like I was like, oh dude, I wish it would have been more like this, because I just didn't really know. But I like that it's more military driven. Like when you say that it's more like...
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, yes.
And I liked that. And I liked the intrigue around that a little more, I think, than the previous book, even though the previous book's still good. This one's just more, we're at war, what's going on. And so there's multiple POVs at war, and I liked that.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think I mentioned this in the first video. This is, again, as I've said over and over on the channel, I really love history. You do too. We both like dabbling in both the fantasy and the nonfiction worlds, and this is a very good mixture of, if you're really into history, especially like you said, like military campaign history type stuff. This was such a fun read because it brings in all of the real world elements from the supply train, resources, guard shifts, reading the terrain, like all that kind of different stuff that you have to do if you're on campaign, especially in a foreign land. And I told you on the phone today, this, one of the figures I really enjoy reading about in history is someone like Ulysses S. Grant. This reminds you of like the campaign of Vicksburg, where all these different things are going on, and you're kind of having to travel through all these different terrains and different situations pop up. So, yeah, I really enjoyed the military campaign aspect that you get in one of the POVs. I thought that was great.
I like it too. It reminds me of John Gwynn, his first series, The Faithful and the Fallen. Like, I love a good strategic move. Like, I love good strategy plots within the military stuff. Everyone loves a good fight scene, but it reminds me of in The Faithful and the Fallen, there's a lot of that. It's like consistent military action, and so like it's just how can you outwit? Because there's always the factor of like, this one character's just a savage, so he's just gonna just boss up when you need him to boss up. But then sometimes there's just you're outnumbered and you can't do much, so you got to come up with a plan. And I love a good military strategy, and the same with like Joe Abercrombie. Like if you're into those kinds of things, that's like what I would recommend is Joe Abercrombie in his. It's called, is it The Heroes? It's one of those three in the middle anyway, where it's only about war. Yeah, it's just about.
Yeah, I haven't even read them, and I know because you've mentioned it a few times, and you've talked specifically about how it's like the best, or one of the best battle war kind of books.
Oh, dude, it's so good. So anyway, we got a lot of that. So it's not just like, and I guess that's what I liked is because you still have the moments where a character's going to rise up and do something so sick and so memorable, but then at the same time, you're having all these moments, too, to where people are just outsmarting and outwitting, and that's like a built-up plan. And so that's also satisfying to read, too, because it takes longer, more of a build-up. So, and I'm glad, dude. I'm glad to see that Brian can do that, because honestly, some authors can't. Like, they just
to
write,
keep it so grounded.
Character.
Right, and to keep it so grounded in the sense that everything except the it sounds so redundant and obvious to say this, but everything except the fantastical elements themselves are going to be very grounded and realistic, and there's going to be real consequences, which immediately happens to the POV that we were referring to. There is a decision made, and there are immediate consequences that affect the entire rest of that POV throughout the book, which keeps it very grounded. There's not a lot of just OP characters that can just willy-nilly get you out of a situation, which is an obvious thing that needs to be there. Otherwise, it's going to be a boring read. Superman, everybody talks about how he's the most boring character because he's invincible and all that kind of stuff. So you have to have, stakes and that kind of thing. And it was just done so well.
I agree.
So, yeah, I really enjoyed that. There's also, even though, like we said, there are things that are obviously being set up for the end of the trilogy, there are some really good payoffs with a few storylines. And to keep out spoilers, like, there's one character that gets what they deserve. That's all I'll say. And that may be a good thing that happens or a bad thing. Who knows?
I think in this one he makes you hate some characters a lot more. Like, he didn't really do that in the first book as much, whereas in this book you're just like, oh man. And I love that. I love when an author can really get in your head and you're just like, dude, F these people. And you're just like, dude. And then of course, the way he was switching POVs, man, it was just like, bro, you're just gonna leave me with that, and now I gotta wait. And anyway,
I know, and that's it, that element, along with another one is, and I think I've already said this once, but like bringing it back to like comparing it to Sanderson, who is kind of, for me at least, because I haven't read a ton of fantasy at this point, like he's pretty much the golden standard, and so I see some parallels both in that way, that when it really starts picking up, that the POVs are constantly switching, but also, like this book, there were two moments in particular where, and it was a feeling of anger, whereas it's been a little different at the times that I'm thinking of. Well, it's been the same with Sanderson before, but where I'm literally like moving around in my chair, like changing position a lot, like switching this way to read, like hunching over it, because I'm like getting mad that something is happening and I don't want it to happen that
That's
way.
exactly what you're talking about,
Even in other books where that kind of stuff happens, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I don't like that. But this one like had me moving around and like antsy.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's really good, man. This is a really good book. I really like McClellan a lot.
He is. He's a good author.
So yeah, other than that, anything else non-spoiler that you would add for those that haven't read and are still here on this video for some reason?
If you like Cal Pole, I mean, you're gonna like her even more in this book.
Yeah, I guess if you have read the first one and not this one, yeah.
Yeah. Things that you liked, Cal Pole is involved in this a lot. I say a lot. I don't know. I mean, yeah, if you like action and you like, betrayal for sure. Then this one, he does a way better job, I think, in this one with like the whole betrayal and like setting up a revenge arc and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, good point. I didn't even think about that. All right, cool. Well, that's our non-spoiler thoughts. We both really loved it. We really like this series. We like Brian McClellan, so It's Lit Book Reviews highly, highly recommends this series and this book, The Crimson Campaign, in particular. So if you have not read it and you don't want anything to be spoiled, check out now. We are now going to get into the nitty-gritty deets. So Taniel, for sure, is our favorite POV this time. So let's just start with him. Bro, first of all, to the continuation of his kind of addiction, like substance abuse theme, but swapping it over to a different. So he's essentially got the issue with the powder in the first one, the gunpowder, and he has to get off of it, end of book one, beginning of book two, because he has that. He almost dies, goes into a coma. He was getting addicted to it before, so now he's on something that seems like more similar to just marijuana, but like a much stronger kind. He's just smoking something and just laying around all day. So that continuation of him like kind of struggling with the substances and always reaching for something like that, I thought was written really well. Did you enjoy that part?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it lasted a while, to be honest, but
yeah, that's fair.
I did think it was done, I guess, somewhat well. I'm glad that man got back out there.
Yeah, he had to.
But I thought it was well written. I didn't think it was not well written. It wasn't my favorite arc at that point. It's once he gets, to the front lines, dude, and you start getting the beef with the Captain Ket or whatever, and then her, like, cousin or niece or whatever, the other girl underneath her, dude. I'm like, dude, who are these people, bro? And who, it hasn't been that long since Tomas went out, dude, and got, like, abandoned essentially or behind enemy lines and in a bad situation, and all of a sudden like things just crumble down that quickly. That's what I don't understand, dude, is how who are these people to literally just pull up on our boy like that and try and test him, dude, and then they act like he's a no one, and I'm like, what? This dude's a savage, bro. We all know this guy's a savage. I don't understand why everybody's testing him. And these are people without magical abilities. That's like the biggest thing to me, where I'm like, he could kill you right now. Like, I don't understand, like, why you're wanting him of all people on your bad side. It just doesn't make sense.
And I think that it frustrated me so much, and I think it's written so well because even though you do have that kind of response, like, why would you do this? It is explained well that they can get away with it because as far as they all know in the camp, like General Ket and all their people, which... there's insinuations that they don't actually know this, that they're just taking advantage of the opportunity. And I think that'll all be fleshed out in book 3. But either way,
they are. They're the ones, apparently. At least that's what Bo says in the epilogue. That it's
but there's
Dorvor or whatever.
But then there's also the one
Helsinki guys dude who betrayed him. That doesn't make any sense.
I know that came out of nowhere, but the point I'm making about that is it's just done really well to where the position that Taniel's in, at least, he doesn't know for sure what's going on, but the situation presented to him is that he's the only powder mage left. And, he can't kill an entire army. They're super powerful, but he would eventually get taken down if he just started killing people. And he's also just trying to figure out what's going on, doesn't want to abandon the army. And that's what was so good about his arc, is that he's going out there on the front lines every day, putting his life at risk, and then he's getting absolutely dumped on by the commanding officers, and nobody wants to give him any respect at all, even though he's putting his life on the line and saving lives. It was very frustrating to have all these sick moments where your POV character is doing dope stuff that makes you like him, and it's just not paying off. Everybody's against him. It was so frustrating.
Dude, there's an arc, bro. It just reminds me so much of John Gwynn, man. In The Faithful and the Fallen, there's one like this, but it's like a whole book, dude. This guy that just cannot get out of a bad situation. And it's just so frustrating, dude, just to watch your boy just, I mean, can't get out of
struggle.
it. But I mean, the scene of him at the like mess hall, attempting to go apologize, and then this other just loser of a guy just
Dude.
just
It's like her husband,
absolutely.
I think. General Kett's husband.
Oh
or
yeah, you find out
Dorothy
it's her
or
husband. Yeah,
somebody's.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, like these people? I'm like, I just don't understand. They're like so propped up behind these titles, and they think they're infallible somehow. And I'm like, I don't know how quickly this occurred where they feel like they're just, indestructible. When this guy literally can kill you with a bullet, like I mean, just so easily. This dude is a savage. I just don't get, like, that's not the guy I'm gonna just for no reason provoke. Like, this guy out of nowhere. Especially because he showed up and tried to apologize, and then
Yeah,
I mean,
they
dude, it's
took
just
advantage
like,
of it.
yeah, dude,
I
he's
think
absolutely
I think
savage.
it's like definitely a lot of hubris that he's trying to show, like in military leadership, and I think that there's also a lot of that political intrigue where, there's obviously not magic involved, but in similar, like even historical situations, like in Roman Empire, French Revolution, all that, a bunch of stuff we've read about, a super powerful administration or whatever may be, out of reach or presumed dead or whatever it may be, and you'll kind of see the rats come out of nowhere and start taking over and
Yeah.
trying to swap things up because the army's not here to back up Caesar because he's off in Gaul, whatever it may be. So obviously there is that element of, well, this guy is a powder mage, so he could definitely savage the majority of you pretty quickly, but I think they also are banking on the fact that Taniel's not going to do that because they know that he cares about the army and like the regular soldiers. So they know that he's not just going to go too crazy and, doom them all to the Kez army on their doorstep. But that arc was written really well, man. And then the dude, when he goes back to his tent and finds those 5 dudes in there that have Cophole
In a bad situation, brother.
in a
Got her
bad situation, which luckily you find out it didn't get as bad as it could have, but you don't know that at first, man. Dude, I was heated, bro. I was like, Taniel better
Bro,
kill everybody in this.
And
book.
not only
I'm so
does
mad.
he, dude, he does it in a way
Dude, he
that's
like
like
rips out a dude's jaw, like just goes and just rips the dude's jaw off with his hand. It's like, dude, is he the Incredible Hulk? Like, what is
dude,
happening?
that's what I was saying, alluding to is we got no answers about what he is, dude,
Yeah,
or what's
but there's
going on
clearly
with
something
him, dude.
going on. So like,
Oh yeah, dude.
there's
something is
Taniel
happening.
being more powerful than any powder mage has ever been. Like, he's way superhuman. There's Poel, who is a Bone Eyes person, which is apparently a known thing, but we still don't understand how they're so powerful and why these gods are scared of her. And then you have Neela, who is a privileged who doesn't have to wear gloves. So there's clearly different, like, new things happening. And I think you see towards the end of the book that Kresimir is shocked that he can't compel Taniel to do exactly as he says, as his god, quote unquote,
Yeah.
and that
Well,
he
even when
can't, like,
touches him,
defeat
bro.
him.
When
Yeah.
he touches him, he gets scared and stuff, dude. And I mean,
Does it, I will say, it worries me a little bit. How is he going to tie all this up in one book? It seems like, does it almost seem like it's going to be a task?
Where I still, and I mean, this may be a minor thing that maybe was addressed and I just forgot. Where is the one girl that this book starts off with that they're chasing, who is like one of the Prady girls, who's
Oh, she
him
just
and
ran off.
Julian in the one? Yeah,
Or no,
where
no.
is she at? You know what I
Wait,
mean?
did she die? I thought she died.
I don't know, dude. Maybe, but I don't remember her dying. I remember her freaking getting out of there. Because I remember
She's
her,
not in Crimson Campaign at all. I mean, I know she says she wants to get out of there, but
Because I remember she gives a message, I want to say to Adamat, saying, hey, go ask Bo about, Kresimir's promise or whatever it was.
mm-hmm.
And I
she
thought
just
that was the
dips on
last
out of there.
time we saw her.
She's just gone.
So maybe she's somewhere else. But anyway,
Yeah, she
between
must be.
her, I don't know, dude. Literally, I have no idea how it's going to end up. I mean, I think I mean, Kresimir, he's gonna have to fold somehow. I feel like he's not making it out solely because I mean, the whole scene of Tannehill, like, first of all, him literally getting, it was kind of like, it was kind of funny, but also, like, I loved that he got, I guess he didn't get crucified, but got put up on that post right beside Julene, and he gets to, like, talk to her for a bit. I actually really liked that, and then him getting away.
Yeah, I did too.
I mean, the whole doll thing with Kyle Pohl, where she just has, like,
Kyle
1,000 dolls.
Savage again.
I mean, I'm like, what is going on, dude? Just out here, just
turning the army against each other. But
it's crazy.
Wait, what were you just saying? Hold on, you were just on something. Oh, I think that. So I don't think it's going to be the same in book 3. I don't think Tannehill going to be as powerful up against Kresimir because of whatever Kresimir did to Mihaly. I think he did something to his brother because his brother just disappears and then Kresimir falls to his knees and he's crying. So he just killed him or did something to him, sent him to another realm. And I think somehow he's going to take, like he will have taken the power that Mihaly had somehow, because there's no way this book 3 is going to be, there's no way Kresimir's just going to be, a weakling around Tannehill. There has to be it has to be risen more, the stakes, right? Because there's no other, unless a new enemy comes out of nowhere,
Yeah, I mean, the one dude, the I-Pill guy or whatever, the king.
Yeah, I guess there is him, yeah.
But he's still, like, kind of this bad guy who's far off, because even his son seems somewhat reasonable, the guy that Tomas captures. So, I mean, obviously, What's-His-Face is dead now, the dude who was an absolute problem, who he cut his hands off, who killed his wife. What's his name?
Lord Vitas?
Well, no, he cut Lord Vitas's body got ripped off by the other dude.
Oh, okay. You're talking about Nix Klaus? Nick Klaus?
Yeah.
Nix Klaus?
So he got.
That was crazy, man. I actually really liked that. How?
The way he did it to where it was unsatisfying was kind of wild.
Yeah, dude, it's like a really like the bad guy dies, but it's not the way you want to, bro. He just falls over in his carriage basically and drowns in a puddle of water because he can't like lift himself up right.
Yeah.
And Tomas is just like, wow, I just chased him through the streets, got shot at, probably got some of my men killed, and this dude just drowned in 3 inches of water. Or at least that's the way I read it. It may have been more of like a
No, that's what it was. He like cracked his neck and then drowned.
That's right. That's right. His neck was broken. That's why he couldn't move.
Or whatever. But I mean,
the dude that cut his wife's head off, dude. Like, gosh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Especially the whole. No, I mean, I was gonna say, not to jump ahead to the most satisfying thing is Vitas getting off this world, but I feel like somehow his storyline's not over though.
It's not over, bro. I'm telling you, we did not see him physically die.
And this is the part that I wish I would have understood a little bit better. And I want to say that there was almost too many pieces in the very first book. Charlemagne is just not who I don't know why this whole time him and the Archducal guy, who was the dude who was betraying him the whole time. For some reason, I thought they were very similar, and then also
they're the same person. The Arch-DSL is Charlemagne. You're talking about Claremont, though, is the other guy you're talking about. The guy that was Vitas's boss. Their names are similar. See, I kept mixing them up, too, because their names look so similar on a page at a glance. So I did the same thing, dude.
Wait. So Claremont, though, is also the proprietor or whatever. The dude who, or not the dude who's the accountant.
No, the proprietor is not Claremont. The proprietor is the other guy, and I'm forgetting his name. Hold on.
Yeah, Orsier, it starts with an O.
Yeah, whatever his name is. But Claremont is the guy that comes down into Adrepest at the end of the book and shows up and says that he's running up against...
Or Vatos.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's running against Ricard for the prefect or whatever that political position is. Was he a part of the group?
The group in the beginning. Well, I know the proprietor was because he had
Claremont?
The eunuch. Yeah, was Claremont one of the members that like was with Tomas, the lady from the Wings of Adam?
That's a good question, though.
I think that's where I'm getting confused on.
Because there's the Reeve.
The Reeve.
The Reeve is the one that's the proprietor also. That's right. Well, it starts with an O.
Is the Reeve the name for the accountant? Because I know the proprietor never sent himself. Obviously, he sent the eunuch for him, I think, right? Because he had never been seen in public or whatever.
Yeah, dude, it's honestly kind of.
You know what I'm saying?
It's been
there.
yes.
That was where that was less satisfying for me because I was like, all right, who is this guy again? Because I know him, but like I don't know if I know which one he is. And so for a while, dude, I thought that freaking what's his nuts had somehow escaped from prison, the dude who savaged him in the first book. And then it's like, wait, no, that's not the same guy.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's.
And I knew that.
Now.
Like, I did know that it wasn't the same guy, but I kept having to remind myself that. And then I was like, well, I know he's important, but then I just can't. I don't know who he is, though, now. Like, I know he's important, and I know I've heard his name, but now I can't remember. Because every time I'd read Claremont, I'm thinking Charlemagne this whole time, so I never was adding new information to a new person in my.
Gotta love them technical difficulties. So anyway, Claremont, the proprietor, the Reeve, all the boys. And the girl,
those guys.
Lady Winslav, which she was kind of absent for the majority of the book. She kind of checked out because she's embarrassed about...
That affair was brutal for her.
Yeah, she's really struggling after that, in the wake of that. Okay, so, yeah, to go back, so Vitas. I mean, Adamat's whole arc pretty much is very entertaining, very good. He's trying to track down Vitas. He essentially blackmails the proprietor into helping him, in a sense. He finds out who the proprietor is, all that kind of stuff. And all of it leads up to him capturing Vitas, and then, is it Berenice?
Bo? Whatever,
No,
Borbador?
Not Berenice. Borbador's, no. Ricard's girl. What the? His helper. Fell. I just said Berenice, too. That's a different book, I'm pretty sure. We've been reading so many different books lately, dude. I'm getting them kind of... Berenice is from Foundry Side.
Yeah, she is.
So Fell basically loses track of Vitas after Adamat captures him. So Vitas goes in, tries to kill, get Adamat back by killing his wife at the house. Bo comes out of nowhere and just rips Vitas's arms off. I mean, that was so satisfying.
I mean, what a savage thing to do to somebody.
And dude, it's not the middle of the book, but it's not near the end either. No. You get this really satisfying moment a little over halfway through the book. Is that right? Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, it's pretty early on.
Yeah, for such a big moment, it's like, which I honestly really enjoyed. It's nice to, because you're not really expecting it at that point in the book, something so satisfying to happen. And I actually really like that. You kind of said it at the beginning that Adamat's story does slow down at the end. And I like that we have these different POVs where very different things are happening, and that some of them don't necessarily culminate at the very end of the book. Some of them kind of have their climax, like his did with Vitas getting killed at a different point in the book. But I kind of liked it because it makes the story really realistic, because it's not necessarily that 3 different things going on in 3 different places are all going to be at the same level of intensity at the same time. So I kind of liked that. I actually liked that the dynamics got different in that way towards the end of the book.
I hope that, Adamat's just very close to hitting an absolute Kaladin depression arc. I can feel it.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he's on the verge, dude. I mean, him having to basically just write off his son is tough, and then horrible. I guess figuring out that, Vitas somehow didn't give him the right information to be able to try and get his son back, as far as like with the codes that he gave him, and then he paid that guy and he's just gone.
Yeah,
and
he's just gone.
There's got to be more to that, obviously, that we'll learn in the 3rd book, and then young Borbador coming out and just saying, "I'll give you one thing. I'll let you ask me to do one thing.
I'll go."
And that one thing will also be like for me to go retrieve your son. Just if you're wondering.
Borbador might honestly low key be my favorite character, actually. Like when I think about
he had
it,
a lot of good stuff in this book for sure.
He's coming across as like the. I hate doing
I thought
this,
he was
man,
so much
I know
older,
you get
dude.
on me about constantly like pointing out this kind of character, but it's obviously not. But he gives me some of those Adeline vibes where he's just doing things for other people that he does not have to do. He's so powerful and so high up in the echelons of society that he could just run off and do what he wants. He's super rich, super powerful, but he takes his time to track down what's going on so that he can help Taniel, because he's being charged with all this different stuff. And then in order to help Taniel, he needs Adamat, so he makes Adamat a promise that will also help him after the fact. So it just feels like there's a lot of self-sacrifice going on to help others from Borobudur. Would you
I guess.
agree at
I
all?
don't know. I don't know if I see it as far that way. I mean, I think he is, like, obviously one of those hidden guys who, like, acts like he doesn't care. But I do think there is still a savage part about him, bro.
Oh,
And
sure.
I don't know
I mean,
if we
he ripped
haven't fully
Vitas's
seen
arms
it.
off.
Yeah, okay. Exactly true. But I don't know why. It's really tough for me to view. Like, every time they keep reminding you, like, whenever, like, someone new would see him and they talk about how young he looks, I'm like, I just forget. I don't know why. Like, when I read him as, like, an older character. I don't know if you do the same. For some reason, I, like, read him as... There's someone, dude, I was thinking about it, like, the other day when I was reading, that, like, I think it's in an anime maybe that I view him as. Anyway, I just view him as older. For some reason, I view him as, like, an old, fat, big guy who's really strong and powerful, but, like, is kind of, like, a cute, like, very tall, but, like, fat. Almost.
Borobudur?
Yeah, dude, I don't know why.
Are you serious? That's so funny, dude.
But, like, strong. Like, I know he has magical powers, so it's like I know he's
yeah.
a savage still, but, like, it's in a weird way, like, he's just this big,
Yeah.
fat guy who's, like,
No, I
huge,
think
like,
in
tall
my-
and big and fat.
Yeah.
Like,
No, my imagination, I picture him and Taniel, like, are very similar in my mind, just because they
really.
depicted them as really good friends and being around
And,
the
yeah,
same
he's
age.
done that the whole time. I don't know why in my mind.
I can say my version of that is for Adamat, actually. For some reason, dude, I'm picturing a very young dude when I read about Adamat,
Oh,
and he's
really?
not. He has like 9 kids or 12 kids or
Yeah.
something. But for some reason, sometimes in books, I don't know if it's just a completely unrelated, just random thing, if it happens to be about just something I watched recently, but sometimes I'll put an actor, like, or just a character from a show or a movie that I, for some reason, correlate to that person. And the character I'm thinking of is from this show called C that was on Apple TV. And I'm thinking of one of the guys that plays, like, Jason Momoa's son or something for Adamat. Not at all what Adamat's described at. Doesn't look like him at all. Not the same age, but for some reason, and I've actually had to work to get that out of my mind so that I can picture Adamat correctly. So I actually now I force myself to picture Paul Giamatti, which I don't think is what the character's supposed to look like either. But I saw this fan casting thing of Promise of Blood on Reddit or something, and they had Paul Giamatti as Adamat. So I was like, you know what? That's better than a friggin' 20-year-old, so I'll take it.
Dude, I don't
That's the
know
guy that plays
Paul.
John Adams.
No, I know. That's also the guy that plays in Straight Outta Compton I just watched recently, and I forgot he's in that movie.
Is he really? He's
Yeah,
Straight
dude,
Outta Compton? I can't even remember that.
He's the manager that Savage's, like,
Oh,
Easy
he
over,
is.
dude.
Oh, dude.
Isn't that crazy? Our
Dude,
man
that is
Paul's been
crazy.
out here, dude.
Paul Giamatti's a great actor, man. He's
He is.
Lady in the Water by M. Night Shyamalan, great movie.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I've seen a lot of movies recently with him where he's like a likable guy.
We very often
plays a lot
an
of like
unlikable
unlikable
guy.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But what was I? I was gonna say something, dude.
yeah,
about
Jerry Heller. Yeah, he plays
I think what it is for Bo is, I guess because he's a part of that royal cabal or whatever they call it. I'm just
Cabal,
assuming that's like some. I don't know. It seems like something that it would take a long time to get into. I don't know, like the way it's described. It's an ancient, like, kind of group that's protected this god, and there's all this responsibility. And you find out he's early 20s. You know what I mean? It's like, well, how long has he been doing this for? Because it just to me makes it seem like he's been grinding for a long time. Which I know Tannel, it makes it seem that way with him too. And for some reason I don't feel that way with him though. I still feel like he's young, even though I know he's like done a lot still. I don't know why. It's just for some reason it just he feels, especially because he's not, I guess his voice too doesn't feel like as young as Tannel's. Like he does feel more like not that Tannel's not calculated, but I don't know, like it's just a vibe. But anyway, I liked his interactions with What's Her Nuts and Neela or whatever her name is, and I don't mind it. I don't mind her moving from Olim, which, dude, to speak of, like, people, I mean, Olim and Vlora was just, I don't know how I feel about that. And I'm hoping that is just a fling, which I think she says it is. But you can't tell. I can't really tell. I don't know what far as like romance is going on, I mean, Tannel hits Cal Pole with the "I love you," the old famous "I love you" in the heat of battle when he could potentially die, which was wild.
And they like randomly kiss a couple times as well.
Yeah. So I mean, but then he's denying it to basically everyone, but then at the same time he's like, it doesn't matter, and then obviously.
Yeah, but it's like he's denying it for like, because he always has this like head talk where he's like, I don't care what they think, but he's denying it because she's a quote unquote savage, and it's like, improper or whatever.
He's got to get over that, yeah.
Yeah, he's got to get by that, man, before he dies. So yeah, shoot, what was I just about to say too?
I'm not sure how power transfer works, dude, but if they have a child, I mean, watch out.
It's gonna be the next Kresimir for sure. It's gonna be a problem.
Oh my goodness! And then also, Tomas has a little love thing with that one lady who apparently is
like his ex-wife.
I don't think he was married to her. I think he just was, a lover, and that's Saban's sister, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Starts with an H. I forgot her name, but yeah,
Hannah,
that was a cool arc. I liked that. How they end up coming into that city and helping liberate the people.
What I was talking about in the non-spoiler part of military strategy, I liked, the whole let's act like we're up against this river and then hit them with the whoopsie daisy spikes in the ground with the mist, and then, bait and switch kind of deal. So I liked that, and it did remind me of some, I will say, and this is not a shot at Brian McClellan, dude, anyone who likes this book right here, it is a different vibe, but if you like the war aspects and the strategy and the fighting and whatnot, I mean, The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne, dude, is elite. He has some of the best, like, oh, wow, that was a great strategy move, and he explains it well enough to where it makes sense to me. But I still think Brian McClellan does a really good job with that. It's just, dude, John Gwynne, bro, he has some really good scenes, dude, that are the payoff just is just like how the payoff of them like overcoming great odds was, but like times 10. So, but I mean, even Tomas has some kind of low, dark moments here, especially when, Gavel gets taken, and, there's the whole switch of basically the Gez or Gaz or whatever you would say it,
Kez.
are acting like they're Kez, or acting like they're, Adro, which was a cool twist that I definitely didn't see coming. So lots of stuff happened, dude, that I was just not ready for. And
I mean, that whole arc happening the way it did, it just starts out with him saying, let's go through this pass, this tunnel, and then we'll come out and surprise attack him. And it just immediately, that arc becomes them being stuck behind enemy lines and on the run.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't ready for that to be the whole arc of the whole book. And if you had told me that's what it was going to be, I feel like without having read it, obviously, I would have been kind of bummed to hear that was what the whole arc was going to be in this book. But it was so good, dude. It was so good. His whole thing with Laura and being frustrated about it. And I honestly liked her. Honestly. Yeah, and I liked her coming out and saying what she said. Like, obviously she was being disrespectful and like really wilding out and not like acting like the soldier that, she usually does. But I kind of like that she gets out there and she's like, I made a mistake. Like I said, I was sorry. She's not saying all this. I'm paraphrasing and coming from her perspective, but she's like, what am I supposed to do? We're out here on the run. I'm in the military. Like I'm trying to get some in the waterfall. Like, what do you want from me? I'm not engaged anymore. And it's just like, you know what? I feel her on that. Like she's trying to not die alone. And I don't blame her.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought that was cool.
He puts a little bit of perspective in. I mean, you still are like, come on.
I mean, you're still salty with Laura, for sure.
But it's not as bad, definitely. And then she does end up kind of apologizing and still like hitting him with some respect when she could have just kept going down. I mean, that whole arc was nice, especially with Tomas. You get a little more in depth, like information about finding out that his wife had another brother. That Gavel had another brother who died, and just the nuances of. Kind of seeing Tomas finally not break, but, I'm curious to see when him and Tannel, like, first see each other again, what that's going to be like. And I hope they do, bro. And I hope they do, man. Feeling, bro, about when they see each other again, dude.
I got a bad feeling there.
I got a bad feeling it's going to be. Well, I got a bad feeling they're seeing each other again, dude, and it's going to be final moments for one of them. You know what I mean? For sure he's going to do that. Of like Tanel finally sees Tomas. Right? Yes, he's going to finally see Tomas, and then Tomas will finally kind of break his stoic character and truly tell like Tanel how proud he is of him. And you know, you already
breaking
know
my heart already, dude.
Dude, I can already
breaking my
tell.
heart already. Like
it's gonna
Thomas
have to happen,
is going
right?
in book 3. Yeah. Imagine though, man. I mean, the reverse could happen. You could have Tomas. Like
that'd be brutal.
You could have Taniel dying, bro, and Tomas
That'd be brutal.
being
I don't know if I want that
son.
for Tomas. He's already lost it all.
He'd be in a dark place, man.
Dude, who he has no one right now. Saban, his best friend, bro's
so
gone.
bad.
He would have Gavel, which I mean, Gavel is on the.
He has Olam,
block, dude.
But
yeah, but Olam's not even really. I mean,
him and Olam are kind of on the rocks. I feel like they'd be getting pissed at each other every now and then.
Ever since the Vlora thing, dude, I just don't know.
Yeah,
dude, and then it was kind of messed up that the Nicholas or however you say that dude's name, like low-key tried to call out Tomas about looking at what's her face, looking at Vlora, trying to act like
he's like, I'm sure you thought about it or whatever.
Like, dude, he went straight to the heart, dude. I'm like, dude, you're about to get killed right now, dude. That's what you're bringing up, Jesus.
You're gonna go for Tomas's character like that while he's got you back into a corner? I don't know,
Tomas
bro.
shooting through the wall and then like sliding around the corner and just blocking him too. I was like,
that was sick, bro.
Okay.
This magic system is what the Wanted movie should have been. That movie with Angelina Jolie, it was so bad, dude. And so it's kind of a bummer that if you're trying to explain this magic system to like a person who's seen that movie, they're immediately going to be turned off and be like, that sounds so lame. But the way Brian McClellan does it is so sick.
It really is. It's good.
So, dude, what do you think? Do you think Mahali's really gone? Like, do you think we've seen the last of the chef?
I mean, Gusto might be gone, bro. Gusto,
not Gusto.
My ratatouille. I don't know, dude. He really did. I liked his character, honestly. Normally, I feel like he'd be cringe, but somehow he's written in a really good way to where he just feels. He does feel transcendent. He feels God.
Yeah, he feels like a god that is. Yeah, he's just on a different plane of thinking. He does.
And
that
I like
very
how he's
well,
not a violent god. That is a nice switch up. I feel like for McClellan to have someone who's like basically has all this power, but that's just not his motivation. This man just wants to be in the kitchen cooking up.
Yeah, he's trying to whip up food for the boys and girls of the army.
Yeah, dude.
Just trying to take care of the squad.
And dude, I love how he just adds in a sprinkle of just him just also having like super hot girls that are just always working with him.
Yeah, like he's always like, buddying up with like there's like 19 girls helping him cook, and he's only got female employees, and they all seem so happy all the time. It's just like, wow, he really is a god. He really is him.
He's him, bro. He is him. But I don't know. I do think he has to be gone. And the only other thing is so it's just them two. Who are the other gods? There has to be other gods, and I know they're not really mentioned.
Yeah,
right?
I think they said they were, but they all left, and Mihaly was the only one that stayed, and Kresimir was the only one that like can be compelled to come back. I'm pretty sure, but that would be crazy if more showed up.
Well, Julene talked about how he didn't want to even be there, and that she was wrong.
Yeah, which Mihaly I think is the one, but somebody kind of explains that in the first book how like he probably wouldn't want to come back at this point.
Did you think it was cheap for Borobudur just to be able to kill the guy who killed him, or who killed basically to get out of his thing where he has to avenge Manma or whatever the like former king's name was?
I think it's probably not going to work. I think it's probably only going to like satiate it for a brief time until
he got rid of the thing.
Well, I know he got rid of it, but I don't think it matters if you get rid of it, right? I think you can get rid of it physically, and it's still. Maybe you're right.
If break it unless
I don't mind it, to be honest, if that's the case.
Because he's back now.
Well, because he's back, and because it makes the magic like the magic was created by gods, and like there's loopholes, like there's ways to get around them. I think that's a cool element to have if that is the case. Because, now that I'm thinking about it, that probably is just what it is.
Yeah.
But who knows, man? What if the end of the story, bro. Like, you think everything's cool. Taniel and Tomas are both alive, and then next thing you know, Taniel's looking Tomas in the eyes, and they're about to say "I love you" to each other for the first time in the whole series. Taniel can't even remember the last time he's heard his father say it, and the next thing you know, he's on fire, bro, and his entrails are coming out of his mouth, and Borbador's over there with his gloves on, dude, killing Taniel's dad right in front of him.
I don't know how I feel about the gloves. That is one thing I wanted to say. It reminds me, I think of Mickey Mouse every time I think of them with the gloves. I think of just oversized white gloves.
That's tough.
And it's tough to get out of my mind, dude. It doesn't seem cool. I don't know why. Cool. That's just what I think is of huge, big, puffy gloves. Big, puffy white gloves.
You got to stop thinking that, because that's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a sleek look that looks kind of sick.
See, I wish I was thinking that, dude, but I've thought of it every time. I'm like, dude, and then, of course, they're always talking about the gloves, and I'm just like, I just can't unsee it. I will say, a theory that I have, and I thought it was going to happen in this book, for some reason, I think Olam's an insurgent. And I don't know why, dude. I just get a vibe.
Like for Kresimir? Or for the kids?
Just in general, for somebody else, dude. I still like him as a character, but I don't know why, dude. Especially like when Tomas wakes up, I thought for sure, dude, he was in enemy hands and Olam was a part of it. And I don't know why, dude. And I don't really have a lot of evidence. It's just a vibe. Up being the dev for king. Some reason, it's just a slight vibe, and I don't know why. But
interesting.
I don't know. I just feel like he could betray us somehow.
Into book 3, Taniel dies. Olam betrays Tomas.
He's one of what's his face's sons somehow, like the King Ipel's sons. We just didn't know this whole time.
Can you imagine, bro? It's his oldest son. It's supposed to take over.
He's just been on a secret mission, dude.
Dude, Brian McClellan's watching this video right now, and he's like,
God damn it!
I guess the book's out, so technically I guess we could know that. But, wow.
Oh, I thought you were saying
that'd be something,
like, man,
honestly.
I should have ended it like that, and I didn't.
Oh, or that. That would be funny. Let's see. I think we've kind of covered all the characters mostly. Okay, I ask you this usually whenever we're in a series like this. Who is, in your opinion, for like your own like emotional stability, who's the character that cannot die in book 3?
Bro. Calpol sacrifices herself, and I just don't know how I'm going to feel about it.
Dude, that would hurt. That's probably mine.
Cut, dude.
It can't be her. But, dude, I could see that too, man. I could see that happening.
Easily.
Especially with how powerful she is. Like, her, like, being written, like, you know.
I can tell you right now, dude, if the General Ket and Doravir don't die in this third book, I'm going to be pissed. And I don't want to see some off-page death, either. I want to see that
There's no way
on page.
No way. Dude,
it needs to be on
there's going to have to be a reckoning when Tomas finds out.
Reckoning.
How they handled it. How they handled things. There's going to have to be a hardcore reckoning.
When Big T gets back to camp, bro, it better be a problem. And if it's not a problem,
he's such a good character, man. He's such a good character.
I would love to see.
Who is the best written character, you think, in this book?
I will say there were a couple moments where Tomas said stuff, and I'm like, I don't think Tomas would say that, honestly. I think I know Tomas, and I actually don't like that. And I can't remember, dude. It was towards the very end.
You know?
And it was when they were in a moment, and they were like, someone says something to him of like, I don't know if they say, are you Captain Tomas? Or what did they say? And his response, I was like, he wouldn't say that. I don't know. It was a little childish. I can't remember what it was.
The moment
that only happened once.
As far as like dialogue and just a moment that wasn't, it wasn't believable for me, was the moment when him and Gavril are at they go and see Gavril's brother's, little grave. And then they get in a fight. I was just like, what is this? Like,
really?
It was just, that didn't land very well for me. Like, it did in the end, but the way the way it started out, I was just like, you just attack him, bro? They're in war right now, bro. They're behind enemy lines on the run. Is this really happening right now? But I don't know, man. That may just be me. It just didn't really land. It felt like it should have landed better.
I could see it. I didn't mind it then. I don't know. I will say you kind of briefly brought it up. I did. It shows a good author when you're reading about lack of supplies and you think it's interesting for the military.
Yeah.
So, because I
Yeah.
liked that element, like you said, it makes it realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And paints just a picture of like just desperation. I mean, they're literally killing horses and eating them just because they have
Well,
literally
dude, it's
nothing else.
it's so much like it's kind of a different landscape, I guess, but it's much like the Napoleon book we just read when he goes into Russia and then has to withdraw and retreat, and they're
Yeah,
eating their horses, they're leaving their dead in the just walking over the dead guy that falls down in front of them. You get those same kind of vibes. I mean, they're out of food, they're having to forage, their horses are dying, they're exhausted.
exactly.
Just like all hope is lost, but you know, got to do what you got to do. You got to grind it out. Um, so yeah, I feel like we've kind of covered the majority of what's happened here. I mean, predictions. I guess we've kind of gone over what we think could potentially happen. I mean, anything else that you'd say about this book?
No, I'm excited for the third one though, and it's a shame that it's probably gonna be a little while before we read it, but I'm ready.
Yeah, it may be a little while. We're gonna have some other stuff that you guys will be able to watch. We'll still be releasing on a weekly basis, if not more, reviews and other types of videos, extracurricular stuff. But it may be a little while until we get to, let's see, what is the third one called again? Autumn Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get to that one. We most definitely will be reading it, but it may be just a little while till we get there. But we'll have other stuff. If you've read this series, let us know what you think about it. That is Crimson Campaign by Brian McClellan. We highly recommend it. Great series. Anything else, my friend?
That's all I got, brother.
All right, babies. We'll see you in the next one. It's Lit Book Reviews. Done.